Chris Popper, joined here by Sheriff Scott Kane from the Hancock County Sheriff's Department, and I'm really troubled because last week we had a shooting in Texas.
Last Friday.
A month ago we had Parkland. There have been, according to reports, more children shot in schools than service members have lost their lives defending our country in 2018. Putting aside all about gun control, everything, you have been approached by some superintendents within Hancock County and asked to provide school resource officer. Is that correct?
That is correct.
They have also offered to pay $80,000 towards that deputy, which would in effect provide a school resource officer to be split between two districts within Hancock County.
That's correct. And I guess I can give you a kind of a timeline or the history of it from the beginning. After the Parkland shooting, I received a phone call from a superintendent, Mark Hervit, and he had spoken with Chris Elkington, the superintendent in Union 76, and they approached me and were curious or were inquiring if we could supply them with a school resource officer and to get them some figures on what this would cost to do that so that they could look at it, propose it to their school boards. I did that. I responded to them what it would cost to hire a new officer from the ground up, which means completely outfit that officer with salary, expenses, and all the equipment that they needed. They looked that over, they being the two superintendents, and said that we can pay for roughly $79,000 to $80,000. We're willing to work with our school boards and find that in our budgets if you can talk to the commissioners and see if they will fund the remaining balance. I did that.
The remaining balance is approximately $36,000.
It's a little more than that, Chris. It's in the vicinity of $45,000 because when you start talking outfitting a cruiser with radars, cameras, and all those kind of things, so it's a little more than that. And I say a little. It's $8,000 or $9,000 more.
$45,000.
In that vicinity, yes.
Now, just so somebody doesn't think that a deputy is making $100 and some thousand, that they're not making $100,000 in the course of the year.
No, they're not. That's salary and benefits. When you talk about health insurance, retirements, and all of those kind of things, that's what that is. Those two plus a cruiser, everything. That officer is ready to hit the street, ready to go to work.
So they're going to fund $80,000 of the $125,000, and that basically would give them a school resource officer for 9 months out of the year.
Correct. From September through the school year, September to the end of June.
So what would that deputy do from June 15th to September 1st?
That deputy would go right in my patrol rotation. We could use him for extra details. We constantly get complaints for speeding and for alcohol enforcement, all of those types of things. It would help cover vacations, if we ever have a summer.
It would avoid overtime.
Exactly. Exactly. That officer would be filled into that because it's going to be a fully certified police officer. I mean, it's not going to be just somebody with no arrest powers or anything. They're going to be a fully trained law enforcement officer that can enforce all the laws of the state of Maine.
Okay. So you went to the Hancock County Commissioners, and what did they say?
The original meeting was met with resistance by two commissioners. Commissioner Clark wanted more information in the beginning. Commissioner Brown wanted more information in the beginning. Commissioner Blasey flat out said no. Commissioner Clark thought it was an interesting thought and an idea, knowing that I would be able to, or we would be able to utilize this officer, for 3 months, really
for free, basically.
Well, yeah. And Commissioner Brown wanted more information. I brought the two superintendents to that meeting. They voiced their commitment that they were willing to find the money. And I got many different reasons from the commissioners that you know, it's not a perfect program. I'll admit it's not perfect. This officer would be responsible for being a resource officer in 10 schools. Is that perfect? Absolutely not. But it's a start. We've got to do something. And here we've come to county government requesting a service that they're willing to pay for, the majority of it, and we flat out turn it down. And it's looking to keep some of the most fragile, precious gifts we have, our children, safe.
I've been involved and I've seen the success of school resource officers at MDI High School. I've seen them at Ellsworth High School. I know both of those schools have had incidents this year where the school resource officer has been involved, and I'm at a loss. I mean, I've read the paper. I know one of the commissioners said, well, we ought to look at it on our budget year. Well, the school budget years run July to June.
Correct.
The county runs on a
yearly calendar.
Year calendar.
Correct.
So they're never going to meet.
No.
I just, you know, I understand. I don't understand, but I guess I can understand. I've been on the Bangor City Council. I know it's really hard to look citizens in the eyes and say we've got to increase your taxes. I also know that in this day and age, when we're having more and more incidents, you've got to protect children.
We've got to do something, Chris. We do. You know, we posted it on our Facebook page, and the support for this is overwhelming. And I've encouraged the people. I said, really, it's kind of out of my hands. The commissioners, 2 of the 3 commissioners have basically said no to me. Let's make it a budgetary issue. Well, to me, that's just kicking the can down the road. You know, finding another few. And my question is this too, is, okay, we're going to make this a budgetary. What are you going to cut out of my regular budget to make this thing work?
Well, but why? I mean, there are instances where you have to say, we need to increase funding. You know, education is top. People are concerned about roads. People are concerned about public safety. I mean, if you're not concerned about a gunman going into a school or a deputy being in schools so that way they can develop that community relations and with these students and look at possibly stopping something. I mean, people come up to school resource officers all the time and develop a good relationship with them that if in the event that there's an issue, they're comfortable talking with them.
I'll use me as an example. I've been a DARE officer since I've been employed here full time. And the relationships that I've built with so many young people and families over the years, I'm going to tell you, that's the reason I'm sitting in the seat I am today. They supported me because they knew who I was, they trusted me, and they felt comfortable talking to me. That's the same kind of rapport that you build with a school resource officer. I mean, the school resource officer had to keep them safe, but they're there for other things. They can work programming, they can teach with the kids, they can look at security issues. You know, they're not
there, and I don't. I've heard parents say, well, we don't want policemen in the schools. My response is, you have something to be worried about then if you don't want a police officer in the school. Police officer's not going to go around looking for drugs in the school.
No.
The police officer's not going to go around and make arrests in the school. I mean, for the memorandums of understanding that I've seen, that's the last thing they want that police officer to do.
It's very specific in those MOUs that you have, is that they're not there for discipline. They are there if there is a crime that's committed. Obviously, they're going to investigate that. They're there for security, and it's school resource officer. They are a resource for the schools to use. I mean, they get involved in extracurricular activity. All of these types of projects is just invaluable to me. And you know, to get back to where we were, we went to the second meeting, and Commissioner Clark made a proposal and has been adamant that this is something we need to do. Once he got the information, he said, yes, we need to go forward with this. And he said, and we both kind of, I guess at this point, have thrown our hands up. If we don't have another vote to do anything, we can't go anywhere with it. And with waiting for a budget year, to me, that's an excuse, you know, to drag it out.
So, citizens of Hancock County, if they want to have this school resource officer, they need to contact the commissioners.
Absolutely. I mean, the commissioners are in charge of the budget. They make decisions and approve on hiring and firing. So it's in theirs. I've done everything at this point that I can do, getting the information to the superintendents, who have done everything they can. They have gone to each one of their schools individually and got overwhelming support from each one of the schools that yes, we financially will help support this.
How many deputies do you have on during the day covering Hancock County, roughly?
On a good day, I'll have 3, which may include a supervisor. On a bad day, I may have 1. And now that may sound deceptive, but we have a call sharing agreement with the state police, so a lot of it depends on how much of the county we're covering. But I may have a good many days where I have just 1 deputy working.
So you've got 1 deputy that's covering from the island all the way to Blue Hill?
Yes, we have, yeah, we would. Slot 1, the area that is in it, that is most of the schools that are looking for this, there's 8 communities in there. It's from Castine on one side to Brooklyn to Blue Hill. Oh, well, actually, we're coming into Surrey because Union 93 includes Surrey,
right,
all the way to Deer Island, Stonington. Yeah.
On a good day, how long does it take to get from Ellsworth to Deer Island, Stonington?
On a
lights going, you're driving as fast as you can.
Let's take a day, a regular day. Depending on what time of day it is, if I left here and had to be in Stonington, I'd be hard pressed to get there in half an hour.
Blue lights going.
Blue light, siren. Yep, absolutely. Driving as fast as as you felt comfortable and safely can go. Yeah.
And they're telling me that, you know, when I'm looking at this Texas shooting, that they had somebody in there to engage that gunman in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And still 10 people died. And you're telling me that without a school resource officer, we may be looking at a half hour.
Could be, and I'm saying
worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, and I know the naysayers are going to say, well, okay, you're going to have that officer's going to be working in Castine today, and the problem you have in Surrey, and it's still, yeah, but we're doing something, and they don't, you know,
you don't know where the officer's going to be.
That's exactly right, Chris. They don't know where that officer's going to be. They don't.
Yeah.
So I'm at a standstill. I'm going to call Superintendent Hervett today and say, where do you want to go from here? I mean, I'm in the middle. I support the project, and I understand dollars and cents, and I understand all of those kind of things. That's part of my responsibility as an elected official, but my priority is to keep people safe. And when people come to me and say, we want help keeping our children safe, and I can't get that support, my hands tied.
If you want to do something about it, it's up to you. I know for a fact that elected officials respond to telephone calls, they respond to emails, they respond to letters to the editor. I would encourage you to reach out to the Hancock County Commissioners if you believe that that there ought to be a school resource officer in these communities.
I do, and I agree with that, and I would meet with any group publicly or privately that want more information. You know, I've given all the information that I can at this point with to the county commissioners. The ball's in their court. Do you want to get on board with this or don't you?
I don't want to be the one that's going to sit there and look somebody in the eye and say, if we had had somebody, this tragedy would have been averted. And that's, unfortunately, the road we're going.
I mean, I've got a school lockdown we're going to have a practice lockdown in one of the schools on Thursday. We're actively doing what we can with what we have, but this is what our citizens are requesting us to do. And I think it's our responsibility as elected officials to respond to that.
All right, for the record, I asked the sheriff for the interview. You didn't ask me.
I did not.
And politics is going to be the toughest part of your job.
It is, you know, and so many times I hear the political correctness, the political correctness. Listen, I'll stand behind the decisions I make. I'm just asking that the powers to be stand behind the decisions they make.
All right. Thanks for watching. Check out all the other videos we have on the WDEA YouTube channel.